This episode of Creepy Campus contains violent or graphic imagery that some may find disturbing. Audience discretion is advised.
I was trying not to slurp on the mic.
I didn't mean to do it.
No, I was just meaning for me, because I have a really bad habit of slurping near a microphone. Or like I'll be on the phone with someone and
I'm aware. Been there, done that.
I wasn't talking about you in that moment.
You weren't not talking about me.
Well, 'tis what it is.
You know what else it is?
Time for my computer to take off?
No. It's Halloween.
It's spooky Halloween.
Yeah.
It's creepy. How does the song go? Creepy, scary skeletons.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Spooky, scary. Oh my gosh.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Send shivers down your spines. Ah! I've lost it.
Yeah.
I've lost it, man. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't sleep after going to see that show yesterday. And it wasn't because I was like worried. I knew the show.
Were you scared?
No, not like at the show. No, because I knew what was coming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the only person that had seen that show before.
Like, I knew the premise of it.
Yeah, but I knew the way it was written. Because I've both seen the play and I used, like, I worked on the play a lot during my senior year of college, because there was a monologue from it that I used in my recital that while we were watching it, I was watching him say those words and I was like, I know, I was like with him doing it. I was like, Jeremy, not that I was actively
talking out loud.
Yeah, no, I would never, but I was definitely like, my mouth was moving.
Anyway,
we watched The Woman in Black, okay? Sorry to everyone who doesn't know how much of a dork I am.
Which, I said this to multiple people last week, and I think it's right. There's a movie version with, like, Daniel Radcliffe, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything that was described in the play version was, like, brought to life as it was happening, rather than it be storytelling. It was brought, like, the way the Daniel Radcliffe version works, the film did it, like, as if it was all happening in real time.
Oh, so there wasn't, like, the 60-year flashback.
Right, which I think that is scarier. That's why I've always liked the play more. I think the it's what we do here, right? It's the telling of a ghost story.
Yeah.
Is much scarier to me than experiencing the moment, because, like, in the moment when you watch it, it's like adrenaline. You can shut things off. Like, you know, your brain just can do that. Listening to the story is creepier to me. There's more suspense. There's more build. It's what we like about telling stories here. It's what we like about telling stories on college campuses. And the whole framing of that play is telling a Christmas story. Because if you remember in the very beginning, it's like he entered the long hallway down towards where his family was. At 9:30. But, you know, they were telling ghost stories at Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Or Christmas night, because that's such a common thing.
Yeah, I mean, we've done that a couple times
here
on this show,
Yeah,
like at Christmas. And actually a perfect segue into today's episode.
right.
Yeah.
I wasn't totally just like talking out my rear end over here.
There's a first time for everything.
There, that's fair.
But no, we're bringing back what we did. I think it was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? And was
Yeah.
it for Halloween?
It was for Halloween.
Oh, cool.
I think we recorded it on Halloween, maybe.
I also think it's so funny the way we both pronounce that word.
Halloween.
See, I say Halloween,
Halloween.
and you say Halloween.
Halloween.
And it's probably because I grew up in the South, like, and very much in the rural South.
Yeah.
You grew up in city South. It's not the same. You grew up in the north of the South.
Okay, country mouse.
I just grew up with a lot of like high pitched A sounds where they went nasal, you know? So Halloween.
Halloween.
See, you're it's like
Halloween Town.
it's Halloween Town.
Halloween Town.
Halloween Town.
Ha.
Ha! Ha! I'm redrumming.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna get canceled for that one.
Bringing it back. So no, bringing back what we did a couple years ago, and instead of telling a supposedly true encounter, or tale from a college or university, we're going full fiction,
Full creepypasta.
full creepypasta.
It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. So we'll actually both be reading a story from the Reddit, our No Sleep,
No Sleep.
but looking for stories with a specific college twist.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's important to say though, we don't intend to like take credit for the work of these.
Oh God, no.
writers.
And I just saw that mine does not have a writer listed
Oh no.
because it's r/deleted.
So
So whoever it was that wrote this one, it was deleted, but I'll link it so that y'all can find it.
Yeah, we'll link both of our shows in the show notes. But really, I think it just brings it a wider audience.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
To
And I
this-
think everyone should read Our No Sleep anyway.
I don't know. It gets a little like
It can get weird, but like I really enjoy it.
it can get weird and very graphic.
Oh, well, yeah, I definitely looked for some that weren't so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Because one of them I really liked was just too long, and it was not too long. It was too graphic,
Gross.
and I couldn't do that.
Yeah, no.
Sorry, I was putting the link in my notes so I didn't forget.
Oh, okay, good.
Because it's who I am to forget things.
Mhm.
Is yours a longer or shorter one?
It is it's a little bit longer, but not. I don't know how long it'll take me to read it.
I don't know either. I was just trying to see if you wanted to go first, if you wanted me to.
Oh. Why don't you go first?
Me?
Wait, who went first last episode? I don't remember.
I think it was me,
Oh, okay.
which would mean it was you.
Okay, I'll go first then. All right.
Good. I can sit here and sip my tea.
Well then. No slurping.
Oh, I should have found like a scary mug, but I don't think I have one.
No.
I need a pumpkin mug.
But those are always shaped in that weird ceramic you don't like.
Oh, you mean that hollow ceramic that's garbage? Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
But yeah, so the title of my story is My College Has Frequent Lockdowns. This time they're not letting us out.
Okay, this was the one I kept seeing, and I was like, no, I'm afraid it's going to be too dark, and you know me, and I can't. If it's too dark in a very specific way, I was like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah. This is written by user 18planet. Was posted approximately 6 months ago and has 2.9 thousand upvotes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Brynhorn College is a very small country college plopped down quite literally in the middle of nowhere. The student body that barely exceeds 500, it's basically a speck of dust among the miles of forest surrounding it. Many of my high school friends would have balked at the notion of attending a college that's 5 miles away from the closest town. But for my quiet, country-loving demeanor, it's perfect.
Me?
It's you.
I was like, it's me.
So, when I got my acceptance letter to Brynhorn College in April, I was ecstatic.
Thank you for pronouncing that word correctly.
The rush of packing, course selection, finding a roommate, and obtaining financial aid was stressful as one would expect. But as soon as I set foot on campus, all of my stress melted away. I don't know what it is about this place, but everyone just seems happier here. The way people talk, the little skip in everyone's step as they walk, the professors are all passionate. Even the food here tastes happier. Unless you come to Bryn College, it's hard to explain. But one thing's for certain, I had found my perfect match.
This is a very common story, though, to me. This beginning.
Yeah. As with all small colleges, however, Bryn College has little quirks that are also hard to explain.
God.
The main one is what we call periodic lockdown. Periodic lockdown is the kind of thing that seems ridiculous when you really think of it, but everyone is almost too afraid to joke about it because of how serious it's treated. I'd first heard about it during orientation. Until then, our orientation leaders had been all sunshine and rainbows, but a dark cloud came over their faces when periodic lockdown came up. If you can only remember one thing from orientation, remember this. Whenever a periodic lockdown occurs, it must be taken seriously and must be adhered to, said Sam, one of my orientation leaders. Her liveliness that had been there mere seconds ago was gone. What's periodic lockdown? One of my orientation group mates asked. It's a period of time, usually around an hour or two, where everyone must stay inside their dorm rooms, with the doors locked and lights turned off. Any violation of this rule will be met with instant expulsion.
Okay.
Myself and the other members of my group were taken aback. Part of me wondered if it was an elaborate prank to scare the freshmen. We moved on quickly from the topic, and it wasn't brought up again. But on the 1st of October, a few weeks after school had started, my phone buzzed during chemistry. Bryn emergency notifications. A periodic lockdown is scheduled on October 2nd, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. You must be in your rooms at least 30 minutes before the lockdown begins. For additional preparations, please visit the school website. Other students and even the professor checked their phones upon receiving the notification. First one of the school year, the professor said before carrying on with the lecture. The freshman dorm was abuzz with nervousness, excitement, and fear about the lockdown. Our RA assured everyone of the lockdown's normalcy, but that didn't stop the rumors and theories from making their way into every conversation. I bet it's a gas leak, my roommate Theo suggested. They've been doing construction by the Energy Services building for the past couple of weeks. They must have a lot of gas leaks then, if it's as normal as the upperclassmen say it is. The next day rolled around. I just stayed in my room the entire morning since my only class had been canceled in anticipation of the periodic lockdown. Following the school website, Theo and I did all the necessary procedures. We took out the trash, closed the blinds, locked the front door, filled our room's sink with water as an emergency water supply, and turned off all non-essential electrical appliances.
This sounds like you're preparing for what am I thinking of? A nuclear event.
As it got closer and closer to 2, the hall grew quieter as people ended their conversations and doors slammed shut. As ridiculous as this whole endeavor was, no one wanted to risk being the one caught outside. Right as the clock struck 2, there was a faint, almost hollow-sounding whoosh sound that reverberated through the hall, like a spaceship powering down. It was completely dark. I checked my phone and noticed that I had neither Wi-Fi nor cellular data anymore. What the hell? They must have shut down everything, Theo complained. The show he'd been watching on Netflix was now stuck loading. Even the cell towers aren't working. It must be a regional blackout or something, I said. I turned on my phone flashlight and carried on with the assignment I'd been chipping away at. But that was the only weird thing that happened during the hour. As soon as it hit 3, everything turned back on, and the school resumed as though nothing had happened. Periodic lockdowns are always a bit unsettling when they happen, but I've come to accept them as just one of those weird things that colleges sometimes do. They aren't often, maybe once or twice a month at most, and never longer than a couple of hours. Occasionally a class or test is missed as a result of a lockdown, but professors were always prepared with online lecture videos and make-up testing dates. My first year of college passed by rather uneventfully, and it seemed as though the second year would be the same. Yesterday, I was eating lunch with my friends when all of our phones buzzed simultaneously. I reached into my pocket to check the notification. Bryn emergency notifications. A periodic lockdown is scheduled on November 15th, starting at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. You must be in your rooms at least 30 minutes before the lockdown begins. For additional preparations, please visit the school website. What the heck? That's like 40 minutes from now, my friend Natalie said, looking at her phone. There isn't an end time either. Did they make a mistake with the notification system, I asked? Screw it. I'm not taking any risk, another friend Evelyn said, putting on her backpack and picking up her tray table. I walked here and my dorm is far as heck, so I'm going to leave. See y'all later. Note, I am editing myself as I go.
It's just the constant use of heck. Like, a lot of my students are like, heckin'.
The dining hall around us gradually evolved into a cacophony of people gathering their belongings and putting away their food, most of which was half-eaten. I reluctantly followed suit, still processing how weird the whole situation was. Getting back to the dorms before the 30-minute mark was out of the question by this point, so why weren't we warned sooner? I was back at the dorms with 25 minutes to spare. The halls were shuddering with the sounds of doors slamming shut, people yelling, and locks clicking into place. I entered my room and began to go through the motions that had been ingrained in my head by that point. Closed the blinds, unplugged my computer, the fridge, locked the door. Just then my phone buzzed again. I checked it and saw a message from my roommate, Theo. Hey Brian, I got in a bike crash on my way back and the chain broke, so I might be a few minutes late. Could you leave the door unlocked so I can get in easily? Thanks. A small pit of dread grew in my stomach. What if he doesn't make it in time? I wondered. Could he be expelled? Okay, but please hurry up if you can. There's like 15 minutes until the lockdown begins, I texted back. A minute later, Theo texted me again. It's all good, man. There's no way they'd punish someone after springing up on us like that. LOL. I tried to distract myself from that gnawing pit of my stomach by studying for my chemistry quiz, which I didn't even know would happen or not. The hallway gradually got quieter, and I began to convince myself that everything would be okay. My phone buzzed again. My card isn't working for some reason. Could you come open the front door for me? The next thing I knew was pitch black, and a hollow whoosh echoed throughout the dorm. Periodic lockdown had begun, and my roommate was still outside. Heck, I muttered. They must have turned off the front door's card reader as part of the lockdown. What happens to Theo now? Does he just have to wait outside until the lockdown ends? I thought about leaving my room to go open the door for him. Maybe no one will notice us if he gets inside fast enough. But what if we're both caught? Why risk getting myself into trouble when I'm safe right now?
Takes long drink from water.
Not to mention, who knows what the periodic lockdown is for? Maybe there's some kind of animal outside that could be dangerous. But then isn't Theo in danger? What if whatever's out there gets him? My head swam. I turned my phone back on and tapped my browser app, which was thankfully already open to the periodic lockdown information website. I scrolled through the FAQ section and found out what I was looking for. Question: what should I do if someone else is out of their room during periodic lockdown? Answer: remain in your room no matter what and keep the door locked. If someone knocks, don't answer the door. Don't let them in.
This is that TV show that I really like. What is it called? From, yeah.
My eyes fixated on the last few words. Don't let them in. That's when the feeling in my stomach went from gnawing to nauseating. My roommate didn't make it back in time. And now I'm supposed to be sure he doesn't make it back at all. And I don't even know when this will all be over. I played some games on my computer, occasionally checking the clock. 1 hour passed. Then 2. A small part of me hoped the lockdown would end by the usual time, but I should have known by now that this was an unusual lockdown. With the remaining time uncertain, I turned off my computer to save battery and sat in the darkness, thoughts consuming my brain. Even the faint slivers of light that crept from the blinds were waning. I didn't dare open them. I checked my phone. 5:16. The previous longest lockdown was less than half this time. I drank the rest of my water and went to refill it at the sink, feeling my way through the pitch black room. Then ice shot down my veins as I remembered the last step of lockdown preparation. Something I'd forgotten about in my haste. The sink.
He didn't put water in it?
No. Praying for a miracle, I turned on the faucet. Nothing came out. Panic started to fill me. Shit, this must be why they had us fill the sink. Okay, no water. How long can a human survive without water again? Is there any water left in the pipes? I tried to get the water running multiple times to no avail. There's no way they'd keep us in lockdown long enough for us to die from thirst, right? Time marched on. Soon it was late afternoon, then evening, then night. Not that I could tell from the window anyway. It had gotten completely dark before 5. Whatever was happening defied the normal day-night cycle. At around 7, I ate one of my frozen meals from the fridge for dinner. In the absence of a working microwave, I had to leave it out on my desk for a while to thaw. Nothing like slightly below room temperature Thai noodle soup to hit the spot. I went to bed a few hours later, figuring I might as well try to skip as much time as I could, hoping I'd be woken by the lights coming back on. Instead, I woke up to knocking on the door.
Nope.
Brian, can you let me in? My blood froze. It was still completely dark, but something felt off. Like the air was a bit stuffier than normal. That was Theo's voice. There were more knocks. Brian, my card isn't working. Can you please let me in? Adrenaline shot through me, removing any lingering fatigue. I tapped my phone screen. 3:06. I've been in lockdown for over 14 hours. I was jolted back by more pounding. Brian, can you let me in? Mind racing, I turned on my phone flashlight and scanned the room to see if anything was different. The light, while initially blinding, was a welcome reprieve from the previous 12 hours of darkness. There wasn't anything unusual in the room, but that didn't shake the feeling that something had changed. I slid off my bed and began making my way to the door. I didn't have a plan for what to do. I only knew that I was terrified. The voice came again, louder now that I was closer. Brian, my card isn't working. Can you please let me in? I pressed an eye against the peephole. It was too dark to see anything, but for some reason I got the feeling that something was staring directly back at me. My hand wandered to the doorknob before I remembered the website. Don't let them in. I stood there for a minute, my mind racing. Is it really Theo that's standing outside, or something pretending to be him? What happened to your bike yesterday? I asked, my voice hoarse with neglect and dehydration. Silence. Part of me wondered if Theo, or whoever was at the door, had left, but that was quickly quelled. Brian, can you let me in? More pounding. The door seemed to shake more than before, the doorknob vibrating ominously in my hand. What happened to your bike yesterday, Theo? I asked again louder. Can you hear me? More silence. Clearly, whoever was on the other end couldn't hear me for some reason, or just wasn't responding. Shook by the whole situation, I felt my way back to my bed and tried to rest. Getting more sleep was hopeless by that point. Theo was relentless, knocking at the door every couple of minutes or so. Sometimes I'd get a 10-minute break. Other times there would be a non-stop pounding for a minute straight or longer. But every single time, the thing switched between the two sentences with the exact same intonation and inflection, almost like a recording played on loop. Brian, can you let me in? And, Brian, my card isn't working. Can you please let me in? Became etched into my brain. For all I knew, the school was stuck in hell, and I was being tormented by a demon who thought it would be funny to imitate my less fortunate roommate. I began to cry. Less than 24 hours ago, I was a normal college student, stressed out by normal college things like friendship drama and chemistry tests. Now I was stuck in the dark with no water, no roommate, and no hope of escaping anytime soon. I began to think of my family, wondering if they knew what was happening. Maybe the FBI will start investigating and rescue us all. Brian, I've been stuck outside all night. Please open the door. I froze again. The looping of the other sentences had blended into the background such that this new one stuck out. What does that mean? I wondered. I'm starving and thirsty, and I'm all alone out here. Brian, please let me in. The desperation in the voice put me on edge more than anything that had come before. I checked my phone again. 7:15 a.m. The room suddenly exploded with a flurry of knocks, so much that I could hear the door groaning from stress. Brian, please! They're going to get me if you don't open the door right now. Theo, what is happening? I shouted from my bed. Silence again. My ears strained to listen. Then came Theo's voice again, quieter now but still clear. Dude, I wish I knew. I got stuck outside, then somehow I got in, but none of the doors are working anymore. Brian, I was literally in the hallway all night. It's so dark out here, and I think there's something out here with me. What's out there, Theo? Are you okay? I slid off my bed again to head to the door. I don't know, but I'm scared, Theo shouted. Then came muffled, almost inaudible sobbing sounds. I just want this to be over. I just want to be... Theo, I'm coming, I said, my heart wrenching, my cheeks still wet with tears. But fear lingered in me. I'll open the door, Theo. Promise. You just need to answer one question, all right? Theo sniffled. Okay, what's the question? What happened to your bike yesterday? Silence again, and more of it this time. I stood by the door, heart beating on my chest as the minutes ticked by. 5 minutes, then 10. This is the longest it's been quiet so far, I thought. Why is Theo taking so long to respond? Then, just as I was about to retreat to bed, can you please just open the door, Brian? Answer the question, Theo, I said, my voice shaking. Please let me in. Theo's voice sounded almost robotic now. I began to back away. You're not Theo. You can't remember what happened to him. I was on the verge of tears again. There was pounding on the door. Please, Brian, please. I can't stay out here. I went back to my bed and stuck my head under the pillow, hoping to drown out the sounds. There was more pounding, and even through the pillow, I could hear the muffled, please, Brian, please, on repeat. That's not Theo. It can't be. He'd remember, right? But then my mind wandered back to the pain and desperation in his voice. It felt so real. Clearly, whatever was imitating him knew how to act. I must have fallen asleep eventually because the next thing I knew, it was quiet and past noon. Time clearly worked differently now, however, because my window was still completely dark. This was the time that I truly began to fear for my life. Lockdown had been going on for a full day, and there was no sign of it stopping anytime soon. I'll be dead in 2 days if I don't find something to drink. I tried to think of ideas, a slight headache starting to set in from dehydration. I felt my way around the room, not daring to use my phone flashlight anymore. I reached under Theo's bed and felt something smooth and metallic. I nearly cried from joy when I realized what I had found. A full soda can. I felt around and counted 2, 3, 4 cans of Pepsi Max soda. Thank God for Theo's sugar addiction, I said to myself. The soda might be enough to get me through an extra day or two, but beyond that, I know I'll have to think of something to get myself out of here. And so I'm doing the only thing I can think of. I'm turning to the internet. Even though there is no Wi-Fi or cell service, I hope that somehow, some way, my story will get out, and I will be rescued. And if you're reading this, that means it did. But there's one more thing before I'm all caught up. While I'm writing the story, Theo came back. I was hunched at my desk typing away, my computer brightness turned to a minimum to save energy, when there was a knock. Brian, came Theo's voice. Ice shot through my veins. I shouldn't say anything. He's going to try to manipulate me to open the door. I tried to focus on typing, but found it hard to do so. More knocking. Brian, please, I know you're scared. I'm sorry if I scared you, all right? I didn't move or speak. My vision blurred from adrenaline. Listen, Brian, I don't know what's happening. It's like my memory got wiped or I don't know. But I really don't want to stay out here. Please. More silence. I typed a few more words, but found that I couldn't think of more. There's something out here. I don't know where it is right now, but I hear it going from room to room sometimes, knocking down the door. It pretends to be other people, like me. I've heard it talk with my voice. My ears perked. Could that really be Theo? Could he be different from what was at the door earlier? I found a pack of water bottles, thankfully. It should be enough for a few days. Please, Brian, I don't want to hide from that thing anymore. What happened to your bike yesterday? I asked again. Brian, I told you, something happened to my memory. It's like I can't remember anything specific from before the lockdown. Please, Brian, you need to trust me. My heart was wrenched. Never had his voice sounded as human as it did now. What if that really was Theo out there? And I had left him to fend for himself for the past day and a half. The rule of not opening my door dwelled on me. But what if I actually had the chance to protect Theo? I don't know. Listen, this thing's going to come back any moment, and we're going to have to leave. Just, please. I know it's scary. Tears pulled up in my eyes. As much as I wanted to open the door, I had to maximize my chances. I'm sorry, Theo, I can't. Silence again. I expected the Theo thing to start repeating its lines again, but there was nothing. And then finally, I faint, almost inaudible. All right. Ever since then, I haven't heard from Theo, but I know that he will likely be back and try to get me to open the door again. If it actually was Theo outside, part of me doesn't want to know, because the pain of guilt would be too much to bear. At the time this is being sent, it is currently November 16th, 2022, 7:19 Central Standard Time. I will likely have 3 more days. If you're reading this before then, there may still be a chance. Please do what you can to end the periodic lockdown at Brynhorn College.
That's it?
That's it.
Well, that sucks in terms of I wanted more. I wanted a resolution to this story. Also, how do these colleges this college's door not have a peephole or something? I don't know.
It had a peephole. He was looking out the peephole, but he couldn't see anything. It was just black.
Oh, I missed that part because I kept going, look out the peephole.
He did. He looked out the peephole, but it, I pressed my eye against the peephole. It was too dark to see anything, but for some reason I got the feeling that something was staring directly back at me.
I just no. You can't open the door. But you can't.
If you open the door, you're going to end up dead, or worse,
Expelled.
He has got to sort out his priorities.
Really, though? Oh, my gosh. That was good, though. That's a really good story, even though, I'm mad about it. Now I'm mad that I didn't actually read it. I was just irritated because I was like, I know it's going to be something like school shooting or something.
Yeah, lockdown has a very different meaning.
Now than it used to, or just in the U.S.?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Oh, my God. Well,
But thank you, user 18 Planet.
18 Planet. I like that. Well, mine, I changed it early, like when you very, very first started talking about yours.
Yeah.
I went, no, I don't, no, we're gonna. Part of it was me not feeling comfortable having one that was like user unknown.
Oh, yeah.
But I ended up changing to a story that was written by user 10-Minute Horror.
Fun.
It's got like 500 something upvotes, I think, but it's been on there for, I don't remember how long. I had it pulled up on my phone. So I've been copying them into my notes app because it's the easiest way to get it over here.
Oh, I just saved it as a saved post on Reddit and then logged into Reddit on my laptop.
Oh, well, I could have done that, but that would have been too smart. And I am me. So I also don't know my login for Reddit, just so we're all clear, which is probably not good. But the name of this story is, after playing a mirror game in college, my entire dorm lost their minds. It's my favorite thing. It's these stupid games. Anyway, it starts with this. In college, there was a guy on our floor named Steve who was studying evolutionary psych and was constantly conducting different psychological tricks and experiments on us.
Did he have IRB approval?
Probably not. They were all pretty cool and challenged us to think outside the boundaries of our minds. One night, he came back with a mirror game. It was similar to other dares and challenges involving mirrors like Bloody Mary and Candyman. Only in this case, the villain that showed up in the reflection was you. Kind of. The game involved perception, namely your perception of yourself. From there, it expanded outwardly, encompassing other people and places and their relation to you. All you needed was yourself, a mirror, and complete concentration. I had a mirror, but it was a long week, and all I wanted to do was sleep, so I stayed in. A 4-wide email was sent out inviting everyone to try it in their rooms. You would definitely need IRB for a 4-wide email like that.
Yeah.
The game was called the Jamais Vu Challenge. Jamais vu is a French phrase that translates to being the literal opposite of déjà vu. Whereas the latter, déjà vu, translates to already seen, jamais vu translates to never seen. It's really testing my high school French here. In a psychological sense, it relates to the phenomenon of experiencing a situation that should be familiar, but is instead foreign and unrecognizable. Seeing things or people that you should know, but for some reason, they appear as strangers or unknowns. Everyone has experienced some form of this in their life. An easy example would be if you've ever been looking for someone, or something, rather, in your home. After minutes of searching, you finally located in a place that you know you checked multiple times, but for some reason, it blended into the surroundings, and its familiarity made it invisible, or temporarily unknown. The Jamais Vu challenge was grounded in this idea. The challenge played with our own perception of who we are and had very similar directions, or very simple directions. You had to be alone in front of a mirror, and you had to keep it close to your face. Then you had to stare into your own eyes and say your name repeatedly.
I already don't feel like good when I stare into a mirror too long, so
That's just called body dysmorphia.
okay.
Okay. The name repetition and eye contact with your reflection allowed you to accelerate the familiarity you had with yourself, with your name and your face. The objective was to say your name so many times the word no longer made sense to you, while at the same time concentrating on your face so diligently that you no longer recognized it. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're brave, you can try it. You'll be surprised to know how quickly your name means nothing and your face becomes a stranger's. How the sounds and the syllables turn alien and your eyes, nose, and lips morph into an outsider's. The challenge, if done correctly, made you forget who you were. So, in a sense, it shaved you down to your most basic human instincts. It reminded me of a story I once heard from a drama teacher. She had a student who was quiet and reserved and had a hard time breaking out of her shell. The teacher convinced her to do a heavy scene that involved a loud scream at the end. The student played that part well, but couldn't manage the scream in the finale. The teacher pushed the student and kept at her, trying to pull out something deeper than she did. The student began to scream, a horrific, guttural shriek, and she wouldn't stop. She just kept going. The teacher tried to calm her down. The other students tried as well, but it was like a switch had been flicked deep inside the student, and some electrical bolt of emotional fear charged through her. And the screams were terrifying. They were animalistic. They sounded far down the evolutionary rabbit hole. The student found something somewhere inside her that was so unsettling it made several other students throw up. An ambulance eventually arrived, and the student was taken away. Even as she was driven off, you could hear her screaming. The teacher never saw or heard of that girl again. We don't do that, actually.
Yeah, no.
Just FYI, that's not a real thing that drama teachers do.
Make
Or
people scream.
sometimes I'm sure they do, but they shouldn't. But she never saw or heard from the girl again, which was annoying because I wanted to know more. I always pictured the student in some asylum, probably sedated, her vocal cords numbed down, but still trying to scream, the switch inside of her still somehow stuck in the on position. My roommate Allie told me she was joining the challenge and was doing it next door. I had zero interest in that and fell asleep on the couch.
Me.
A storm hit that night. I woke up just before midnight from knocks at the door between claps of thunder. The knocks were uneven and strange, and the door was unlocked. I opened it to find Allie. She was frazzled and nervously trembling as she looked in at me. and I warmly reached out to wave her in, but she pulled back. Allie looked at me like I was someone she didn't recognize, or know, or trust. She looked back down the hall, which I realized had smoke gathering in the air. I peeked out and saw the smoke coming from a room down the hall. I heard movements and struggling sounds coming from the rooms. Everything felt off. I reached forward again, warmly, and this time Allie was receptive. I put my arm around her and guided her in. She became like a baby under my arm, infant-like, as if needing protection. I tried to talk to Allie, but she wasn't speaking right. Her words were coming out in long, strangely connected mumbles. They sounded backwards and upside down like a stroke having a stroke. I brought Allie to the bathroom and closed the door to give her privacy. She behaved like she didn't want me to leave her, but I was unable to speak the words. It was all so bizarre. I felt like I was still sleeping. I panicked, wondering if I should call the RA or go straight to calling an ambulance. Then I heard a scream. It was from somewhere on this floor further down the hall near the rec room, and then the fire alarm went off, and another, and another. But just as soon as they did, I heard 3 loud individual cracks, and the ringing shorted out. I tried calling Steve. I could hear his cell phone ringing somewhere in the hallway. It continued ringing all the way into voicemail. No one answered. I tried again, but nothing. It kept ringing until it stopped. I waited a few minutes until the hallway had been quiet long enough. Then I grabbed a pen-sized can of pepper spray and quietly opened the door and peeked out. It reeked of burned toast. The hall was filled with smoke now, and I could barely see the next door. I crept along the wall, passing the closed doors of other students' rooms. Behind some of the doors there were sounds, unintelligible mumbles and cries. My plan was to get to Marie's room. She was our RA, and her room was at the far end of the hallway near the kitchen area. I continued along the hall and passed through the rec room. The TV was still on. An old episode of Jeopardy was playing. Laughlin, one of the guys on our floor, was sitting in front of the TV staring mindlessly and mumbling the same way as Allie. He made me uneasy. He wasn't acting like the normal guy I would watch shotgunning beers in the bathroom stalls. I backed up, deciding to go back to my room and try calling Marie instead. I turned back to the hallway in the cloud of smoke. There was a crying sound coming from deep within it. Between the sobs there were jumbles and backwards words. That same stroke-like cadence, it was a sad, disturbed crying that made me want to run back to my room and bolt the door. The silhouette got closer and turned into Laura, another student. Laura's room was down the hall near the staircase. She was stumbling toward me, her hands cupped out in front of her. She was trying to speak, but crying through it. Laura tripped, falling backwards, her hands out and pleading for some kind of sustenance. I didn't know what to do, so I backed up. Just as I did, a new shadow appeared. It was Steve, and he'd lost his mind. Steve was swinging one of his baseball bats, which was covered in blood. He himself was also covered in blood, and his clothes were ripped and shredded. His eyes were wild, and he was screaming violent jumbles of words. Steve didn't see me, but he saw Laura. He grunted at her and swung the bat viciously. The bat connected with the side of Laura's head, sending her sprawling into a room. And Steve followed her in, swinging the bat like he was playing whack-a-mole. Laura's screams and cries drowned out and were replaced by the slapping thud of Steve's bat against flesh and bone. I rushed across the doorway and tried to make it down the hall, but Steve heard me and chased me down. Steve got a hold of me 2 doors down from my own. He had one arm around me and was trying to pull me onto the ground. I got a hand free and pulled out my pepper spray. I struggled and fought, but I managed to press it right into one of his eyes while it was shooting out. Steve screamed and let go of me. I shoved him back and ran through the smoke. I got back inside my room and locked the door. He never came to the room, but I heard him crying and hitting the walls as he patrolled the hall. I got a knife from my mini kitchen and I went to check on Allie. I found her huddled up in fear at the end of the bathtub. She reached out to me like a child would its mother. I spent the next hour holding her and rocking her to sleep. Campus and state police arrived and cleared all the rooms. They found us in the bathtub. Allie was still spouting gibberish, but I could speak and I told them what I knew. As we were escorted out of our room and down the hall, I saw numerous body bags in rooms and in the kitchen. I knew Laura had died, but it didn't hit me until then how much larger this all was. In the end, it turned out that Steve had killed 7 students, including the RA Marie. Allie eventually recovered, regaining her memory of self and others. Steve went into an asylum. He's very lucid and normal now as well, but he has a strange animal quality to his eyes. Like everything he looks at is prey. Most people would be terrified if they looked in the mirror and what they saw back wasn't their face, but their character. And it's made me wonder what mine would have looked like if I had done the Jamais Vu challenge. If I would have been like Steve and fallen into a deep, evolutionary well that supercharged my limbic system. If the lizard tail in my amygdala would have brought me back to infancy or turned me into something dangerous. I'll never know.
Absolutely not.
I'm glad I changed it to that one because I really like that.
Not. Ugh.
Oh, and the comments are great because they're like, this is one of those times that ignorance is bliss. There are some things simply left alone.
No.
But also, we do not do that in theater.
Oh my God.
That is not how I have ever been trained to or taught to or how I work with actors.
Also, did the camera die?
I think the camera died, so you might have to put it didn't die. I think the card probably filled up.
Oh no.
Did you delete the stuff that was on it before?
I did not.
I bet that's what it was. That's okay. You can put a thing on the end here that's like technical difficulties. I think I've done one of those before, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my story, and it's creepy, and that one's very up my alley in terms of like a horror slasher film.
Yeah. Okay, sir, that laugh was not necessary at all.
I can't help it. It's who I am as a person.
Oh my gosh. Well, happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Hope you enjoyed this special edition episode.
I like doing no sleep episodes every now and then.
Yeah.
These are fun.
They're also real easy.
Yeah, but they're fun because it forces me to read some more stuff.
Yeah.
Because I used to spend a lot of time on no sleep, but I don't do it as much anymore.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
But yeah, it's fun to go back there. And the writing's always incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
check out if you have a creepy story, real or fact or fiction, share it with us.
Yeah.
Visit our website.
creepycapuspod.com.
Yeah. Show notes, more episodes, merch, all that fun stuff.
And more next time.
Yeah. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
Please.
Trick or treat.
And trick or treat, yes.
All right. And we will catch you next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.